Hi guys, I am back and I am very apprehensive, but I'm ready. Today is the Terrifier 3 local premiere and they have been talking. A lot of people have been talking about fainting in this film. The main title I'm seeing is Massive Walkouts. I've never seen that happen in a film before, so I'll be the judge of that. Here is my thing. Today I am ready to draw the line in the sand. I love what the creator, the director, Damien Leone has done with Art the Clown. I love that he fully conceptualized the look of Art, how it's based on Charlie Chaplin and kind of slapstick comedy, the mime, everything about the persona brought to life by David, I just think is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I've championed it from the start. As some of you guys know, I have spoken to both the creator and Art themselves, and I just think what they have turned this into, especially when I've been traveling in different countries and seen different masks of Art the Clown available everywhere, all over the world. It's so exciting, especially for a modern villain. There hasn't been anything like this in a very long time that's gone so gangbusters. And because it's independent, I love that. Remember, there has been more features than just these 3 films. We've also got The Ninth Circle, where Art was born. I recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it. And then of course, we've got All Hallows Eve, where a lot of people were introduced to Art the Clown. And I've been following Art obviously on this journey and backed him on crowd campaigns for getting these films off the ground, or part of these films off the ground. But I am drawing a line in the sand today because I am sick of being given nuggets of lore and it feels like it's going nowhere. They have now announced the 4th film and I'm so worried about this film that it's gonna go nowhere. And that is my only hope in watching this tonight. I know that Art the Clown can just be for fun, but why pose questions or give us little bits of lore if you're not going to back it up? The main parts of this for me are the sword and the regeneration, bringing Sienna back to life in the last film. I know that Damien has plans for him, but what are they? And I really just hope that this isn't a dead-end film. The last one I felt was a little bit too long and we got more questions than answers, and now I fear, learning that there's gonna be another film, I'm worried we're just never gonna get anywhere. So today I'm drawing my line in the sand. My expectations are that we learn just a little bit. I just want a little bit, and I also want to check out if it's as gory as people are saying it is. I have seen people walk out of films before. More so it just seems like it doesn't suit them, but I haven't seen anyone throw up or faint. So I will be the judge of that. Terrifier 3 is Christmas themed and I don't have a problem with this. The only thing I'll have a problem with is if there is no plot or no story, which I'm really scared about. But in this one, we follow Sienna again and her brother, who have survived Art and are struggling to rebuild their shattered lives when once again, Art appears. I'm gonna go to a packed cinema to go watch Terrifier 3 and I'd love if you could come along with me, spoiler free, and I'll let you know whether it's more gory than the last and whether it's worth your time to see in the cinema. Let's go. You guys are not going to believe the story I'm going to tell you. This is going to sound made up. And I promise you it's not. But first impressions of that film, before we get into that, first impressions, I really enjoyed that a lot more than the second film. For numerous reasons, I feel like they've finally got their groove back. which I was not expecting to say. I will not say the film is perfect. I'm going to go through the pros and the cons, but first I do want to say, in addition to my little whiny intro to this video where I talked about the fact that people say they faint in these kinds of movies and there's all these headlines and it's clickbait, I also did a TikTok, I'm on TikTok, saying a very similar sentiment, which was aimed at this film. Can you tell me why, after me saying that, after me going to the movies for years, seeing the goriest things I can see, why did two people faint right in front of me during that film? One during the start and one during the end. Both trying to run down the stairs to get out of the cinema because they felt queasy. And I know this because I talked to both. I was so close to them when it happened to me both times, and I had to go and get help, and it was a whole kerfuffle. This poor girl, it was a man at the start and there was a girl at the end, and she gashed her head open. Oh my god, I felt so bad. I went and checked on her afterwards. The other guy, I believe he left straight after that. His friend came and got him, and they must have left the cinema. But this poor girl, she did get help. She was with her friend. But oh my god, it really shook me up too. It just took me out of the film for a moment, because this film I thought was fun, intense, gory, disturbed. It just was over the top, and to see actual people getting hurt when I'm watching it, I'm just not used to that. I'm not used to horror actually hurting people, so that was a really strange experience. But two people fainted in my cinema, and before anyone says they're paid actors, I saw the girl, she had injuries, and they're both very young people. I feel really awful about it, to be honest. But that is something that happened to me, and that was absolutely wild. Both times I was the only person like right there. It was a very scary moment trying to help them out. I just want to say, if you do see someone faint at the cinema or see a kerfuffle, get up and help. My gosh, if you're close, because there was people who were watching me right there and no one was helping. And anyway, they're all fine now. But that was a wild experience. Okay, but them all being all right, let's move on, because that film was brutal. I feel like this film gave me what I wanted, not entirely, but enough to keep me wanting more in terms of the lore. They answer a lot more in this film, and I will say Art the Clown definitely shares this film more so with Vicky, who becomes a big part of this movie, who we know Vicky from the previous film, so that's not a spoiler. But I thought that was really interesting. I mean, most of it is about Art, but we also return to the characters in the previous one, which we talked about earlier. But what I really like is they don't undo any of the history that has happened thus far. Although they do time jumps, it starts filling in the blanks. And I was waiting for this moment, so I am very appreciative of that. And in saying that, I think the stylization for this film worked a lot better than the past films. I know that this one I believe had a little bit of a bigger budget, but also being in Christmas, and the kind of Christmas they went with, which is, you know, colorful fairy lights, not so classical, more family style orientated, not minimalist, not very Scandi, very Middletown America kind of Christmas, I think worked really well with the colors, the color scheme, the fade, and bringing Art back. It all really meshed together, and I think that this is a really good fit for Art doing a Christmas movie. Before I said I had no real opinion on him doing this as a theme, but I actually think that it worked really, really well with the stylization they already had going on. It was that kind of cheap feel Christmas, and it really fit with the lower budget, but also the splatter exploitation kind of stylization. It all really fit together. The only thing that would be better is if Art found a time machine and went back to the 70s. You know what I mean? He would fit in perfect there. 70s, 80s horror. It's literally what Art is about and what they take a lot of inspiration from. So that would be really great, but I think that this was such a good fit for that. My favorite part is the gore in this film is intense. It's really hard. I feel like I'm totally desensitized. There were parts in this film that I cannot believe that they did. It's the variation that I think worked really well, because what we love in gore films is some unique deaths. That's what I love about the Child's Play films, because people die in the strangest ways, or Final Destination. I don't want to see someone being harmed. I'm trying to be very careful on YouTube. But, you know, for 10 minutes straight, which I felt like was the last film, this one, it was more quick and there was more variation in the gore scenes. So I think that that worked a lot better, and it was just fun, fresh. I'm so disgusting. Fun and fresh, seeing what was going to happen next. But in saying all of that, we had a little bit of lore, we had the good gore, we have the good stylization. The thing that was really strange in this film is
it skipped through a few puzzle pieces, and by that I mean a few crucial scenes. It felt like they literally cut out a major scene from the middle of the film and it was straight at the end, and I thought that was really weird. There has to be an intentional reason for that or something that happened, but the editing, although it was tighter in this film compared to the last, I didn't feel the runtime as much. I felt like it was more on to the next. There was some pieces of the puzzle missing, and so reveals didn't quite make sense the way they should. It just felt a little bit janky in between, but I did enjoy this a lot more than the last film, so they won me back. I can't believe it. I really didn't think that was going to happen. I was trying to draw my line in the sand, and I really was trying to plead my case to you guys as to why I feel the way I feel, but they got me back. This film I liked a lot more. I just think for the reasons I've said, it worked a lot better for me. I was really stoked by these two. We got the variation too, because I was sitting on my row by myself like a cool kid. So we got the art, the Christmas art, and we got the normal art. Very scary stuff. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I do think it is meant to be mindless, gore-filled, intense ride, and let me tell you, it is. Some of the stuff they did, the variation that I'm talking about, is also in sexual scenes. It was a lot more of that going on, and they did not hold back with utilizing younger actors. I'm trying to be really careful of how I say this on YouTube, but very, the film is about Santa and children are there. I felt like they were also very keen, the director was very keen on changing the perceptions that people have about Art the Clown and him brutalizing women, because this film felt like it was split down the middle, pun. It was equal opportunist, which is good because it's taking on feedback. I was also blown away that they got Bryce Johnson in this film, who plays Sienna's uncle, and I know him from Popular, if you know that TV show. I was really blown away to see him in this film, so I thought that was a really strange but niche cameo for me. I don't think it's a very well polished film. It's just there for the gore. This is torture porn as we know it, the modernized version. And I have heard some whisperings about obviously the fourth film and how it may be the last, but they do know how it's going to end. So there is an end in sight. I was glad that they gave more of an insight, and I was glad that there was a theme to it. To be honest, to be able to watch this on a Christmas hangout with a bunch of friends, I mean, you've got to really choose your friends, make sure they aren't queasy. I get it. It works as a Christmas rewatch, and it gives it a little bit of a difference. It's going to be that, do you want to watch Terrifier this, or do you want to watch the Christmas Terrifier? So I like that. They gave people options. Anyway, it was very gory. It was very gory, but it was interesting gore. It wasn't the same thing, harping on the same thing the whole time like this second film. But I do think there is a lot missing. It just was better than the last one, which I was not expecting. So in saying all of that, I'm going to give it the personal score of 6 out of 10. It won me back over, but it won me back over as like a film that's almost a guilty pleasure. I don't think it's the most groundbreaking thing, but I think it's entertainment and smart entertainment, and I'll be really interested to see how they finish these films. I probably would have given it a 7 if it wasn't missing a huge chunk and had literal like plot holes in there or more pieces missing that I just felt like it was a strange edit. For scare and gore, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I really don't have any reason not to, because it was gory and 2 people fainted in front of me, okay? There's nothing like it. There really isn't like anything like it. I've watched all the Japanese guinea pig films. They don't come close to that. And it's a lot. It is a lot. There's something for everybody. And for originality, I'm probably going to give it a 6 just for the gore. Just for the gore, which is a very strange thing to say. I just don't think it's that original anything else it does, but there is some very interesting imagery. I hope you guys are having a good day. Please stay safe, and please make sure you're not queasy. Make sure you drink your water before you go see this movie if you do. It is only for gore hounds. If you're not one, sit it out, okay? But if you can check it out at the cinema, I would recommend it. It is worth your time to check this one out with a crowd at the cinema, I think, personally. Especially if you liked the last one, you're gonna love this one. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye, friends.